Good day. My name is Terry Difazio, and you're watching Dial It Up on NEK-TV. Today my guest is Howie Lockamy. I've known Howie for quite a few years. I first met him at IROC, and Howie, it's good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Can you tell me what is your current position and where you're doing your gym fitness thing now? Because that's basically what you've done for many years, isn't it?
Exactly. I'm the fitness trainer at Northeast Kingdom Physical Therapy. I also do a few other things there, but mainly when someone joins the gym, I actually instruct them on how to use the equipment properly so they don't hurt themselves, and actually they can get the full benefit of using the equipment. And
you know, I know how important that is, because I've been to various gyms. One I remember out in Las Vegas I went to, and I thought this guy was going to kill himself because he didn't know what he was doing.
Oh, yeah.
So what Howie's doing when he instructs people on how to use the machinery, and I've even seen this at this gym on occasion years ago before you came on staff, and that is a very important thing. So when and where did you first get into this? Like, where was you were in Alabama, weren't you?
Yes, exactly. About 20 years ago, Mobile, Alabama.
Okay.
I actually got a job part-time at a gym. It started off just personal training, and then eventually one day the owner came up to me. Actually, a funny story, I was bench pressing.
Oh,
and I was
really?
sitting there resting between sets, and he comes up and says, "You're the general manager now," and walks off. So that's basically how that began. And then I got into the nutrition part, which we actually sold supplements. From there, I got into selling equipment, fixing equipment, repair. I pretty much done it all when it comes to fitness. So.
And that's pretty much what you're doing now, isn't it?
Exactly.
Okay. So tell us about the different types of weight training. I mean, there are 3 different branches of weight training. Have you worked with all 3 branches?
Yeah, definitely. I've worked out with power lifters, Olympic lifters, more power lifters and bodybuilders throughout the years. I would say one particular category would be bodybuilders. More exposure to those guys, because we had in that particular gym I managed, we had a lot of bodybuilders. Of course, amateur, no pros. Only pros we actually got in there were guys we would hire for shows.
Okay. Speaking of which, any big names?
Oh yeah, Mike Matarazzo, Dorian Yates.
Oh, I know Dorian, yeah.
Met Flex Wheeler. We actually had a partnership with Lee Labrada, and when Labrada was first coming up, we actually put on 2 bodybuilding shows, one every 3 years, and we had our own bodybuilding show called the Heart of Dixie.
Okay.
And that was once a year, and we had a few people from, like I said, Labrada. They would send us free supplements, and we would give them out. As you see, a lot of bodybuilding shows, they would give out free supplements, and to get the word out about the name. So, John Perillo was one of the ones I've met. The dude's a genius when it comes to nutrition and fitness. If you haven't ever heard of him, Google him. You can go to his website. Dude's
what was his name again?
John Perillo. He's out of Ohio.
Okay.
He's a master at it. He's a little older guy, so he's been around for a long time. And the dude, he knows his stuff when it comes to nutrition, fitness, putting a bodybuilding program together, getting guys ready for shows. Dude's one of the masters that are still alive. A lot of the masters are unfortunately dead, like the Iron Guru, Vince Gironda.
Oh,
and,
yeah, he would have been probably 150 by now.
Exactly. So. But
I remember reading about him in Joe Weider's old magazine,
yeah.
Muscle and Fitness, back
Yeah.
in the 70s even.
Oh yeah, that dude was eccentric, but the dude was a wealth of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I try to get a lot of my info from. It's just basically about 20 years of accumulating knowledge from other people and passing it on. So I like to pass my experience and knowledge on to other people.
Well, that's always very helpful because no matter how long you've been in this, I mean, I've been doing weight training and bodybuilding, powerlifting, whatever, since 1974, and you can always learn something new.
Oh yeah, actually the time I met Dorian Yates, he actually told me one thing, and I remember it well. He said, "You'll never know it all." And if Dorian Yates tells you this, if you know anything about Dorian Yates, Olympia, what, 6 or 7 times, the dude knows his stuff. And
I'll put a graphic up of Dorian Yates,
yeah.
and it's like, yeah.
Might be scary, but
Yeah, well,
to the common man.
well, that's another thing too. It seems that whenever you tell somebody that you do weight training, and see, there's a difference between weightlifting and weight training. Weightlifting is more powerlifting and Olympic lifting. You're actually just lifting for the sake of lifting, as opposed to bodybuilders who are actually weight training.
Yes,
it's very it's very different.
Exactly.
And what I'm finding, and I bet you found this too, Howie, there are more women into this now.
Oh yeah, there's always been women, but yeah, you're right. Especially bodybuilding, the women have taken off quite a bit, especially, and unfortunately, it's not exposed, or as probably it should be, because it's just a how you say it, I don't know, it's just a good way to actually live. Be fit. You don't have to go to the extreme of being a bodybuilder, but actually when you come to bodybuilding, a lot of people think bodybuilding is getting huge and massive, like you're Arnold Schwarzenegger, but anytime you're actually working out, you're technically bodybuilding.
Exactly.
So you don't have to be scared. A lot of people are scared of that actual term.
Yeah, and I'll bet you run across this if you told somebody, you try some weight training or for whatever, and they'll automatically go, well, I don't want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the answer should be, don't worry, you won't.
Exactly, that's a misconception about,
of course,
especially with women.
Yeah.
They don't want to hit the weights because they're afraid of getting, like you said, like Arnold, but that's normally not going to happen.
No.
It's not. It's very rare you're going to find a woman that's going to pack on muscle like a man, and of course you know this. You can actually burn more calories hitting weights than you can with cardio.
Yep. I know that cardio, it took a while for bodybuilders to get into doing something besides lifting weights. And that was a question I was going to ask you. Do you find more people do cardio or weight training, or do you find that it's balancing out now?
I think it's balanced. It's about 50-50, I'd say. And it's more women that do cardio. Guys do cardio too, but you'll see, if you see 10 women and 10 men in there, the men are working out with the weights and the women are doing the cardio. But a lot of times, unfortunately, a lot of people aren't educated. They think cardio is the way to go with just burning calories. But like I said, working out with weights will burn a lot more calories. But there's nothing wrong with doing both.
No, I agree, Howie. And as a matter of fact, I know Howie will agree with me on this. I think if you want to really get in shape, you really need to do both.
Exactly, definitely.
You need to do both.
Definitely. Don't be scared. Like I said, a lot of women are scared of the weights, but there's no reason to be scared. And if they want to tighten up their body, what better part? What better way?
And there are a couple of women at the gym that I frequent and that Howie works at that are in very good shape.
Exactly.
And I don't think there's anything unattractive about them working out and how they work out.
Oh, no, definitely not.
Yeah. Here's just I didn't write this down, but back in the 70s when I first started doing this, the general rule of thumb was if you had the most perfect weight training system, the most perfect nutrition, and the most perfect genetics, you could probably only pack on about 5 to 8 pounds a year of pure muscle.
Exactly.
And if somebody's packing it on faster than that, it isn't from having a milkshake.
Illegal.
It's probably illegal, yeah.
Exactly.
But so if anybody's worried about packing on 20, 30 pounds of muscle too fast and looking too big. It isn't going to happen. The guys that compete, like the guys that you were talking about, Howie, they train for years.
Exactly.
5, 8, 10 years before they hit, even a regional competition. What were the names of some of the competitions you guys put on? I mean, everybody remembers the Mr. America, the Mr. Universe, and like that, the Mr. Olympia.
We just did local, the Alabama, which was a NPC amateur show.
Okay.
And the guys moved on from there into the NPC regionals, and then they go to the NPC nationals, and that's just to actually get your pro card. And but our Heart of Dixie was just a local, a strictly Alabama show that wasn't, an NPC qualifier. And that's the only shows we actually did.
Okay. Yeah, I competed in some regional ones down in Massachusetts, Mr. East Coast, Mr. New England, like that. But how big of a role is nutrition with weight training?
Huge.
Okay.
I believe
Explain
it's
it all to
actually.
us.
I actually believe it's more important than working out. You can work out till you're blue in the face, but if you're eating McDonald's, guess what? Your gains are going to be pretty much nil, I would say. And but that's the hardest part. A lot of people don't know what to eat. A lot of people don't know when to eat. Not how much to eat. If you're trying to gain weight, they don't know how much, or how many calories, how much protein. But I believe nutrition is actually, of course, just as important. But if you're not putting the right things in your body and at the right time, a lot of times your gains are going to be nil.
And just to play the devil's advocate here, there are so many supplements out there you can really actually overdo it.
Oh yeah.
There are some supplements. I don't know which ones offhand, but I believe that there are some supplements that aren't worth it.
Yeah, definitely. And everybody's body's different. What works for you may not work for me. That's what, like I tell people, you got to experiment with things. Like, for example, protein. Some people just don't digest protein very well. Some people need more protein than others, of course. But supplements are hit and miss a lot of times, especially with fat burners.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen fat burners work for some people and the same exact fat burner not work at all for someone. And, and keep it basic. I always said keep it basic. Keep your supplements down to like branched chain amino acids, creatine, protein, of course a multivitamin, because these days a lot of the food we eat isn't packed full of the nutrients they should have.
Right.
So, a good multivitamin can make a world of difference.
Yeah, and to build on that, Howie, also, there are different types of proteins.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I'm going to let Howie explain it, because I take 2 different types, but I'm going to let Howie explain it.
There's many different types of protein. There's whey concentrate, which is a basic protein. There's isolate, which is a pure form. Casein, which is a slow digesting protein. There's pea protein for people that can't take any type of milk or lactose intolerant. There's all kinds of vegetable proteins like the pea protein. There's hemp protein. There's
There's probably even egg protein out there.
Oh yeah, the egg protein's a really good one for people that, I know people that are lactose intolerant, and they do take egg, or they'll take the vegetable proteins, which I take quite a few types of pea protein from different companies. But and a good thing about pea protein, that's all you get. You don't get any additives. You know exactly what's in that scoop.
Yeah, and Howard brings up a good point here too. When I first started, whey protein hadn't been invented yet. And I started with soy, and I do not recommend soy protein.
Not if it's GMO. There are non-GMO soy proteins out there, and you have to read the label. It'll say right on the front, non-GMO, and you're good to go.
Yeah. Whey protein, like Howie said, is digestible. It's very quick.
Yes, exactly.
It's probably going to hit your muscles and be worn off in, what, an hour or two, you think?
Yep, an hour. About 8 to 10 grams an hour, actually. Your body will actually absorb.
So if you work out really hard and you want something that'll hit your muscles fast and hard, whey protein is the way to go.
Exactly. And if you want a pure form, get an isolate. If you want just something basic that doesn't cost as much, whey concentrate. But there's all kinds of other ones. You just got to figure out what works with your body better.
And there are a plethora of these things out there. If you go on to any bodybuilding website or GNC or any of
Exactly.
those, bodybuilding.com, you will probably find 24 different types of just whey protein,
Exactly.
let alone not all the other ones.
And so many brands.
And here's a good question, and I know you probably get asked this too. How much protein is enough?
Well, that's debatable. When I was, and probably you, when you came up, there was actually about 20 to 30. But now since science has come into play, actually some people will say your body can digest even more. So it's a debatable issue. But I believe personally for my body, 30 grams at one sitting. I do well with 30 grams. 20 grams, I don't see any results, but your body will stay anabolic if you at least get some type of protein, and especially right after your workout. But I've known guys that take 50 grams, which I always was told that 50 grams is way too much because your body can't absorb that much at one sitting. But everybody's different, but I'm a firm believer between 25 and 35 grams.
But the total in a day, how much would you?
Oh, that's about a 1.8 grams per pound of body weight.
Okay.
That's the going rate at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, because I guess some of your bigger type of bodybuilders, they're taking quite a truckload.
Oh yeah, so I've seen guys take 60, 70 grams at one sitting, a giant shake about that big. And I personally think it's overkill. I don't think your body can take that much, but everybody has their opinions, and you'll see studies that will say only 20 grams, and then you'll see other studies that will say you can take up to 50 grams because your body can absorb, they say 8 to 10 grams per hour. So if you maybe took 30 grams, it would actually be sufficient.
Yeah, I know that one of the rules of thumb is if you're doing any kind of weight training or physical fitness, half a gram per pound of body weight or thereabouts. And right now I'm taking probably 90 to 100. But if I was somebody like Dorian Yates, I'd probably be taking 200 or better.
Exactly.
Something like that.
Because you're a heavier person, you need more protein, and the harder you work, some people will say that the harder you work, the more you need. But you have to do research, and I always tell people, figure out what your body is different from mine.
That's right.
And 5 billion other people out there that work out, or whatever the number is. You figure out what your body needs. Experiment. You can experiment with your body and find out exactly what it responds well to. As far as supplements, how much protein. Like I said, 30 grams works really well for me.
Yeah, in my case, it's probably 20 to 30 per meal or thereabouts. I don't know about going over that, but like I said, I'm not advanced. I'm more like intermediate. But for people that are working out, even if they're just doing cardio, you better get some protein in you, because if you don't, I've never seen. I mean, I just see the name in Greek. Protein means of prime importance.
Exactly.
So therefore, you should be getting it. Here's a good question that I bet you've been asked. What is creatine, and what is it used for?
Well, creatine is an organic acid. Actually, it was discovered by a French scientist in 1832, and the word creatine comes from kreas, meaning meat in Greek. But creatine is actually used mainly by bodybuilders. Anybody working out actually can take it. It's an organic acid. Actually, the body produces it in your kidneys and liver. So for people that think it's some type of foreign chemical, it's not. Your body, if you're living, your body's producing it. If you eat red meat and fish, you're actually consuming creatine. So nothing to be scared of. It's basically natural. And there's many forms of creatine. There's creatine monohydrate, which is the basic creatine. There's Pure creatine, which is actually made by a German company. It's 100% pure creatine. So if you actually are concerned about what goes in your body, like you don't want any additives, Pure is the one to get. And it'll actually say Pure right on the label. There's creatine HCl, which is actually a creatine that's concentrated. There's creatine HPLC, which is another concentrated creatine. My favorite is a crealkaline. It's a pH balanced creatine. Creatine is the most studied supplement in history.
Really?
And I've never seen it not work on someone. I've seen that stuff, me personally, it worked wonders. And it actually has a lot of benefits besides working out, you know, bodybuilding. It's had some effects on the brain and the skeletal system. So actually it does a lot of different things besides just a power boost for working out and strength.
Yeah, back in, I think it was 2005 or 6, I started taking some creatine, and back then I've noticed very, very marginal results, and I think it wasn't because of the creatine. I think it's because the rest of my diet wasn't as good.
Of course, yeah.
But this time I started taking 2 different types of creatine. One I like because it mixes up better, and the other one tastes kind of like beach sand.
Oh yeah,
and I've found good results with it, very good results with it.
And creatine is something you got to be careful what you mix it with. Like orange juice, for example, it's an acidic juice. It'll actually break down creatine. Studies say caffeine and creatine don't mix. The caffeine will actually break down the creatine, so you're not actually absorbing. For example, if you take 5 grams, you actually might get 2 grams out of that, and 2 grams might not help you actually. So, you got to experiment. Well, I tell people experiment. Like I've experimented for many years, and that's why I come to the conclusion that Crea-Alkaline works best for my body opposed to creatine. But creatine versus Crea-Pure or other creatines, I've never seen results-wise differ in those two. I've actually had great results from plain old creatine, and that's actually what we used to sell in Alabama. We actually call it plain old creatine.
Oh, is that right?
Because that's exactly what it was, plain old creatine, and it worked wonders for everybody. I used to get all kinds of young kids on it, and they were like, you know, thinking they were on something illegal. But it's good stuff. Women can take it also.
Oh, yeah.
I've known tons of women to take it. A lot of women are scared because the stories of water weight gain. You know, yeah, you're going to get a little water weight gain off of a creatine monohydrate, nothing major. And the only side effects I've ever seen from creatine is a little bit of bloating and cramping, because cramping usually comes from people not actually drinking enough water. You have to have water.
Yes.
You have to drink water when you take creatine.
Yeah, and water is important, but I also want to go on record as saying sometimes you can overdo the water.
Oh, of course.
Somebody once told me that you should drink, what is it, 2 ounces, or 1 ounce per body weight. And I'm saying to myself, I weigh 181 pounds. I am not going to drink 181 ounces of water, because I'd be only doing 2 things. I'd be drinking water and peeing all day. Yeah. That's all I'd be doing. So you have to gauge what it is your system can take.
Exactly, about 64 ounces for the average person, I think. Yeah. And water is actually the best energy drink you can ever have. A lot of people don't know that, so you can put down that sugary energy drink or full of aspartame and drink water, and it'll help your brain energy-wise. You know, just drink straight water and the energy levels go up dramatically.
What are some of the other common misconceptions about weight training, bodybuilding that you've run across?
Well, like we discussed, a lot of women, they think they're going to get massive. Even I've known guys even were scared about getting big. And usually those guys were, you know, bean poles in the beginning. So I'm like thinking, you don't have the genetics, but a lot of people think they're going to be, you know, get big, and they're not going to be as flexible. That's not a major problem, but I've known quite a few dudes that actually stretched a lot more because they thought they were going to get so big. And I've actually seen bodybuilders that were actually quite flexible because they stretched a lot. So you can actually, you know, stay flexible and build muscle.
Yeah, well, the misconception is that if you train with weights, you're going to get muscle bound.
Oh yeah.
But the truth is, if you train with weights, you are bound to get muscle.
Yeah. And you got to be level-headed about it too. You can't be, you know, you got to be a mature adult about it, not like a, you know, a 30-year-old adolescent, you know, with the mentality of a 10-year-old.
Well, here's the thing. Whatever you do, your body will adapt. If all you do is lift weights, then your body will adapt, and you will get tight because you're not doing anything else. If you do cardio with your weights, or if you do other types of activities, I'll give you a good example. Back in the 70s, there was this super heavyweight weightlifter called Vasily Alexeyev. He was 6'3", he weighed about 345 pounds. He was big. He used to clean and jerk 565. He held world records for years. But you know what? He could beat everyone else on the Russian weightlifting team in ping pong because he was so fast because he did something different other than just lift weights. So if you go out and you do other types of things like stretching, and you do other types of activities, biking is also very good, then your body won't adapt to just one thing.
And that's what we call a plateau. A lot of people do the same exact thing over and over and over, and they hit a plateau and their body doesn't change because they're doing the same thing. You got to change it up. Keep your body guessing. If you keep your body guessing, and it won't know what's coming next. And I'm a firm believer in when I work out, I know what body part I'm going to hit. I just have no idea what I'm going to do. So I like to keep my body guessing. And you know, as far as cardio is concerned, it's the same thing. You know, you don't do the same thing. Get on a elliptical and just go for 30 minutes and jump off and expect results. You know, you can do that for years. That's fine. Hey, your insides will be healthy. Hey, nothing wrong with that. But if you want to lose weight, get your body toned and tightened and looking better, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I've done that too. I've hit a routine that works really well, and every once in a while I'll throw something different in.
Exactly.
Just because your body will adapt.
And it keeps it from being monotonous. I've seen so many people quit gyms because of monotony, and you don't have to make it monotonous. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of different ways to work out, and there's no reason for monotony to ever come into weight training or any type of exercise. In
any good gym, and I'm going to go on record right now with saying the place where I work out and where Howie works is one of the better places I have ever worked out.
I agree.
It has a good variety of equipment. It's first-rate equipment.
Exactly.
Definitely. The man who owns it knows his stuff when it comes to equipment. He knows exactly. He bought good stuff, and I'll tell you, if you get trained properly, like if Howie shows you how to go through these things, you know, through the machinery, through the equipment, there's no reason to ever get hurt unless you do something really stupid.
Exactly.
You know.
And that place, the great thing about Northeast Kingdom Physical Therapy is it's peaceful. If you're actually at peace with the place that you work out, you'll work out a lot better. It's clean, the clientele is great, the people that work there are great. I mean, you know, and if you're looking to be, you know, the world's strongest man, it's not the place. No. But if you wanted a nice place to work out, and you know, like I said, it's a great place. You know, one of the best places I've actually worked, so I'm so blessed. Yeah,
and some places they don't upgrade their equipment, and it gets old and it gets dingy and dirty.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can't have the same equipment for 40, 50 years. You probably get maybe 30 or so years out of equipment, and then you start seeing some deterioration.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, and you can only last so long. And
there's always upgrades in equipment too.
Exactly, there sure is. Bill's got quite a few new pieces that innovation is. You can tell it's come a long way.
Yeah, I know that when I first started going to this gym in 2002, and he had Paramount and Cybex, and I said, wow, this stuff is really good. And now he's added was it Matrix?
Matrix, exactly.
And I'm saying, wow, this stuff, this is really good stuff. And other gyms that I've been at, even in the past few years, I don't know why they bought what they bought, because it just was not user friendly.
Oh yeah, exactly. And you know, it comes down to the guys that work in the back at these fitness companies. Like I said, I used to sell fitness equipment, I used to work on it, and we've met quite a few people that were actually the engineers for some of these fitness companies, and they sit there for years sometimes just coming up with one little simple design that could actually make something more user friendly, and they put a lot of effort into that stuff.
Howie, any last words you'd like to give to somebody that is just starting out and is trying to get their feet wet with weight training, is considering it? Say, for example, they've been sedentary for years and they're going, you know, I really don't like the way I feel. I really would like to do something. Do you have any sort of like helpful hints you'd like to give them?
It's never too late to work out, never too old. That's the beauty of working out. You're never too young or too old. And I've seen a lot of people in their 90s work out pretty hard. It doesn't matter what your condition is. I've seen guys in wheelchairs. I've seen guys that could barely walk, barely use their hands. There's really no excuse, in my opinion. A lot of people maybe with some type of ailment might think they do have an excuse. There's reasons and excuses.
Yeah.
And
there are medical reasons, like Howie said. If you have a medical condition, that's one thing. But by the same token, you probably hear more excuses, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. And I've seen, like I said, I've seen guys For example, one guy, I like to always tell this story about a guy named John Riccio from Massachusetts. The dude has cerebral palsy. He was runner-up to Flex Wheeler as bodybuilder of the year in the United States. That's pretty impressive. The dude came out on the stage in crutches. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this dude never has any excuses, ever. It's just, he's a remarkable individual. As actually one of the guys I forgot to mention that I've met, and the dude's just phenomenal. I mean, no excuses, no nothing, but, you know, it was never too late. You know, it's like Dorian Yates said, there's so much you can learn. You can never know it all, so it's can be an adventure for you. Yeah. And there's no reason to make it monotonous, because it doesn't have to be, because like you know, there's tons of different ways to work out. It's just, and it's actually, I enjoy it. I think it's fun. Even I've seen people that hated working out eventually become almost addicted, and you know, enjoy it, and you know, and your body likes it. Yeah. I'm telling you, everybody, it doesn't matter who you are, your body actually likes moving.
Yeah, and up to a degree, if you're sedentary, you're probably going to stay that way. But by the same token, after you work out, rest is also important too.
Oh, of course, yes. Your body has to have rest. That's when the supplements come in, the protein. Your body recovers when you're at rest. You sleep enough, and nutrition. You're breaking down your body when you work out. Yeah. And after you work out, you got to build it back up.
Yes, it's called a catabolic-anabolic cycle.
Exactly.
Catabolic means that you're breaking down, and when you lift weights or exercise, you basically break down muscle.
Exactly.
And then when you rest and you take your supplements and that's when things build back up again.
Exactly.
So, Howie, it's been great having you on our show.
My pleasure.
And I'll tell you what, maybe in a month or two we'll have you back, and
I'd love
we'll
it.
do like an update, okay?
Yeah, definitely.
It's been great. I mean, if we had time, I would go on we would go on for a couple
of
hours.
Oh yeah, we could go on forever, I bet.
Yeah, and so we will have to do this again in a couple months.
Yes, make it a regular thing.
Yeah, this is Terry Difazio, and this is Dial It Up. We hope you enjoyed our show, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Have a good day.